Alright, so in this video we're going to go over how to get from AutoCAD into the laser. So here we have AutoCAD open, and I've used the template that's in this AT300 folder right here, this laser template. Open this whenever you're going to create a file down, save it, then open it and then work inside of that, so that way you can use the layers that are in here. So anything that's white is going to be the raster cut, where it does just pulses across and engraves it down to engrave large areas. So when we're looking at it under a white background, pure black is full power of whatever the setting was, and then shades of gray are a percentage of power of that full black setting. So that's what we want to do there. Any color is going to be used for vector, so where it's where it's going to trace the line, and you can see that on here it corresponds to the colors here, and so each color has its own different thing. The blue, green, and yellow are engraves that are thin lines at different power settings. The magenta, cyan, and orange are pulled out of focus so that they become thicker lines on there, kind of more scorched. And then the red line is the cut line. We're just going to cut all the way through the material. And so when I want to print this, or to cut it on the laser, it works as a printer. So I'm going to print. So I want to make sure I pick this VLS right here, go to properties, custom properties, and right now it's going to show what our current settings are. So depending on the material you have, these might be the settings you want or not. I'm creating a material library that for us, it kind of has its own one here, but this only sets the kind of the black, the red, and the blue values. I like to have a little bit more control. So you can see it's here. So if I go to load, and in documents I have some files, and so I have them, the thickness of the material in thousandths. So 060 is 0.06 thick mat board, or the 188 cork, which is this. So if I pick this one, you can see it resets, and now that the thickness here on the z-axis is adjusted. If I load it, pick the cork, it readjusts those numbers up for that. Down here I have kind of some control over the raster. So if I want it halftone, I want it to kind of be more solid areas of gray, black and white, so I can kind of just make it anything gray turns black. There I can kind of adjust the quality of it here. I can do a little bit of scaling on the vectors to kind of smooth, to kind of tell it kind of how quality versus speed do we want it. I usually leave it pretty much there. Don't worry, this is just kind of how it's going to pick how to do it. And this is the standard for our laser, so don't worry about that. So we're going to pick that, hit apply. If I need to make any other changes, I can pick on things. So let's say I do the first cut through. I can and I decide, oh no, I want this the raster to be a little deeper. I can go in here, change this value, hit set, and now it'll save it. If you pick more than one thing at a time and make a change and hit set, it'll change all of those to the same value. So don't think you can just select them all and change one of the things and change only that thing. It changes everything. So I'm just going to reset it by loading it back again. And I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to say OK. And I'll say, yes, save it here. So if I do this, it's only going to save it for this current print. If I save it here, it's going to save it back to kind of the temporary setting, or the kind of the override file for this. So that, apply it to layouts, that way if I have to do it again right now, I'm just going to have all these same settings. And then I'm going to print, usually I like to print window, because usually I'll have other stuff going on and I want to print just one thing. If in this case I have just one thing anyways, I could do extents. I'll show you how to do window. So window, and I'll usually start out here, and I'll turn off my O-snaps, so F3 to turn off my O-snaps, and I'll just start a little out past it. So that kind of captures it. Always preview it, make sure you get it. That way, in case the O-snap jump to the corner, you don't have kind of part of the corner or anything. So then right click and plot. Then I'll come down here to the bottom, and I'm going to hit this little red icon right there. And you can see that it's in here. So now I can go into move, grab my icon, this here, and drag it up to the top there. Also want to turn on the laser. Oh, it was on already. So here I can use this button here to turn on and off the laser. So I turned it off, now I'm turning it back on. So it's going to go through and kind of recenter and everything. Once this comes back up to being green, oops, you can see there. Now it's green right there. So this is the button turn on. You have left clicking zooms in, right clicking zooms out. And so if I press this button here, I click, and it's going to move it over and kind of give me a little pointer. Let's see where that is. You can see where there, that gives me a little pointer. So I can kind of use that to position my stuff on the laser. So let's say that's going to be the spot that I want. I can go back into settings here and I get to that same box. If I want to, I can make changes here. For this cork, kind of, you can see the first cut, it doesn't kind of go all the way through. If I raise power enough to go all the way through, then it burns. So I found with the cork, we do one cut with these settings, and then for the second cut, we just kind of pick all these and tell it to skip. And set, we hit set, we can change this back down to like 13, not 213, but 13%, and hit set. And so that way you can cut just the red layer again, just to kind of retrace it at a little bit lower setting to cut all the way through there. So we can do that to kind of go through. We can also over here click on this estimate, hit start. It's going to tell us how long it's going to take to cut this thing. I can click on this one here if I want to have a pattern of them. Hit apply. This placement, that's the space between them. So I could make these smaller. Anytime you can go and just point over, you can just type in the number and then hit apply. You can see it gets closer together. So we can do arrays of things. You can just draw one, bring it into here, array it out, and now I can go in and estimate the time of that. So now it's going to tell me it's going to take 47 seconds to do this thing, because it's just doing the red lines. If I go back in, and so you can see it's still on skip. And I can pick each of these, reset it to vector. So you do them one at a time because I did all of them and changed all their settings. Now it's going to be a minute 35 to do all these. So that's kind of how we get from AutoCAD into Laser. To actually run it, we'd hit this button here, and it'll start doing the cut. We can pause it, and once we pause it, it'll kind of finish whatever it's doing. You can hit this to resume from where you left off, or you can hit this to start over. So that's kind of it. All right, have fun.